Is Texas Tech just going to steal the rest of the Big 12's best football players? I mean, they can. And BYU basketball, buy or sell. This is a bonus episode of Locked On Big 12.
You are Locked On Big 12, your daily podcast on the Big 12 Conference. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Happy Tuesday, everybody. Welcome into Locked On Big 12. I'm Drake Toll from America's #1 Big 12 podcast, Locked On Big 12, as well as the Drake Toll Show with Westwood One. Thank you for making this show your first listen every single day. It's a bonus episode. I joined ESPN Central Texas to talk all things Big 12 basketball, Big 12 football, the college football playoff, and more. So thanks for being here. If you hit subscribe, I get to keep my job. Thought, you know what? We'll give them a bonus episode because you guys awesome. You guys awesome? Yeah, you guys awesome. All right, Ward, let's do it.
It will. You're right. Drake, let's talk a little Big 12, and we'll get into some more here in just a minute. But overall grade for the Big 12 in bowl season 2025-2026.
Yeah, you're going to have a solid start and then a bad taste left in your mouth there toward the end. Obviously, it did not end the way that we wanted it to, and the Big 12 kind of falling apart on the last weekend of bowl season wasn't great. You know, Texas Tech falling to Oregon was not great, but I don't want to dilute what BYU did against Georgia Tech in their comeback win. What Houston was able to do with a lack of blue chip prospects to beat LSU, TCU, and their storyline in beating USC, and we can't forget that Utah doubled up a Big Ten team in Nebraska. From there, the aforementioned struggles, Arizona State losing or Texas Tech being blanked, SMU over Arizona in a game that was a blowout. Arizona came back and made it close, and then they couldn't finish the deal. And Navy 35-13 over Cincinnati. Really strong start. I think by the time it ended, most college football fans on January 2nd were more tuned into the NFL and what was going on with the play. That's the hope, at least. They were done watching these games by the time SMU was beating Arizona and Cincinnati was losing. But yeah, we're going to remember. We're going to think about the way that Texas Tech lost to Oregon, and that is another black spot, I think, on the Big 12 in the college football playoff era.
Drake, we see that Brendan Sorsby is going to Texas Tech as he committed this past weekend. And in your mind, is this a good move for Texas Tech and Brendan Sorsby going up to Lubbock?
I think this is great for both parties. Now, the alleged price tag of $5 million is a lot. That's more than I would probably pay for Sorsby. And he was solid at Cincinnati. It was just a lack of continuity, consistency, I guess is maybe the better word to use for his season and the way that things panned out. He's not a 3,000-yard passer. He didn't log 30 touchdowns this year. He was very efficient. Didn't take a ton of sacks either. But $5 million is a massive price tag for what you're getting out of Sorsby, and he also went 7-5 with his football team this year. So I'm not going to pin all of that on him. What do you got there? I just, again, $5 million. Ward, you're an old football coach. That's a lot of money.
Yes, absolutely. There's no doubt about that, and that's kind of what we're looking at in college football. I mean, it's the transfer portal has over 3,700 kids in it right now. I mean, did they envision this thing exploding like this and these checks being this big when they decided, hey, this is a good idea?
I think when it was first proposed, the idea was, oh, it's cute. We'll let the kids get paid. They'll never be paid as much as us. And that changed immediately. And now you've let the toothpaste out of the tube. That's an impossible thing to get back in the tube. And so whether the idea when this began was, hey, let's see how far this goes and then rein it in, or if the idea was, hey, it probably won't even go that far, I just think at the base level of when we started, whatever that idea it was 5 years ago, sucked. It was a terrible idea to do this without any level of checks and balance. So now you have guys like Brendan Sorsby taking a chance on Texas Tech. You're like, well, what do you mean is he taking a chance? Well, these guys are foregoing their draft eligibility right now, foregoing the NFL because they can make more guaranteed money in college football than they would as a third or fourth round draft pick in the NFL. That's a crazy thing. I don't think anybody ever expected us to go that far with college football and the way we've opened it up. But the issue is now, the second you push back on something, you will get sued and you will lose. The government is going to have to step in, which I don't often root for us bringing the government into sports. But that's the only way to regulate this, is to have some sort of salary cap that cannot be unionized, sued, overturned, and then we go into a whirlwind of college football just being a messed up hodgepodge of players entering the transfer portal and not finding landing spots. Ward, you mentioned that number of 3,700. At least a fourth of those probably won't play college football again because they won't find the right spot, and that is a devastating fact when you hear that number.
Drake, so Eric Morris goes to Stillwater for Oklahoma State, and now we're seeing a whole lot of North Texas players move up to Stillwater as well. How long do you think it's going to take before we see Oklahoma State reload and get back in the swing of things?
They should instantly be a, maybe not contender in the Big 12, but instantly a team to look at as a dominant force offensively. The defense is going to take a bit, but when I say dominant, I mean that. They just pulled a quarterback that SEC schools would have made their signal caller next year, and he's got a 2-year contract with Oklahoma State. The disappointing piece of this, and I'll rattle a couple of Oklahoma State fans in saying this, is we are officially labeling college football as a minor league of itself. We're going to take North Texas and Tulane. We are going to take some of these small, gritty Texas schools like UTSA or Texas State and pull their best players somewhere else. And universities will start to hire coaches based off of who they can bring into the program. Like, hey, you're a really good coach at Florida Atlantic. Can you bring your quarterback, your running back, your O-line, your wide receivers? That's what Oklahoma State is doing with North Texas. The Big 12's gain is a huge loss for UNT and for college football in this era of hiring coaches based on, yes, their pedigree, yes, their offensive play calling and their ability to build teams, but also hiring them knowing you can get their roster as well in the portal. Oklahoma State competes right away. Really stinks for North Texas, but I imagine the Cowboys will be a force to be reckoned with on the offense come 2026. Today's show is brought to you by Rocket Money. Rocket Money is exactly where I go. Take care of managing my finances. It can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep piling up, and you feel like you're losing control. You can now track every transaction and hunt down hidden fees. Rocket Money comes in handy and saves the day. I'm shocked by what it showed me after the holidays. So I was like, oh no. I'm subscribed to 6 streaming services due to college football season. Let me cancel like 4 of those. No more hunting down customer service numbers. I can just cancel them in the Rocket Money app. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/locked on. That's rocketmoney.com/locked on. rocketmoney.com/locked on. It's Rocket and it's money.
Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12, with us here in the press box on ESPN Central Texas. And Drake, with that being said, in the Big 12 right now, who's winning and who's losing the portal battle?
Yeah, Arizona State just landed another really good portal pickup. Texas Tech is going to be at the forefront of what the Big 12 does in the transfer portal. You're going to look at them as the team to chase, to catch for everybody else. I do believe that BYU will be in the mix once again due to their ability to spend, their willingness to spend, and that is a good thing. In this era, you want to spend money. Arizona State, with their investment in Dillingham, will have to reload through the portal. They lost Sam Levitt. They're going to do that. They landed the number 2 receiver out of the transfer portal from Colorado just today. So I have confidence they'll do it well. I'm looking at TCU as a very hungry transfer portal organization right now. And I use the word organization intentionally because now college football programs are organizations. And I'm looking for still the Baylor Bears to find a way to regroup, to find a way to reload out of the portal. They need to do that. They've lost over 20 names, and they're good names. You know, I read the list of players that Baylor is saying goodbye to, and they're fairly recognizable for even the casual Baylor fan out there. You would know these because they're guys that played, and they will succeed. They'll be good at their next stop. The Bears need to reload, but so does Iowa State. I mean, there are Big 12 programs, Kansas, Big 12 programs that will have to make splashes in the transfer portal. Otherwise, they will not succeed next year. And Ward, a wild stat, 3 of the 4 national semifinalists this year have starting rosters made of 50% or more transfers. So if half your starters on any competitive team are transfers, it feels like the recipe for winning now.
Well, isn't the starting quarterback on all 4 teams all transfers?
Yeah, correct. No, we have officially entered. Even if your quarterback's good, he's probably not good enough, not as shiny as that guy across the country. Go out and get him. And the only guy I'll make mention of, and this is you aren't insinuating this at all. Trinidad Chambliss, he used the portal the right way, moved from Ferris State up, and now can win a national championship. That's a great story. The other guys, they were just going somewhere else to get paid and possibly win a title, and there's nothing telling them they can't.
And you brought up TCU. We saw Josh Hoover. He's going to Indiana. Where are they gonna stand at? In quarterback room, are they going to be licking their wounds? Or are they going to have to go back and restock their whole entire team? What is their outlook for this upcoming season?
Yeah, now that Hoover is gone, the focus becomes going into the portal with the quarterback top of mind. They need to go get a quarterback, and that's exactly what they did. They went up to Harvard, which I guess, why not? Let's go to Harvard. Jaden Craig was a really good quarterback there, and obviously the kid's smart, went to Harvard. Noah McKinney, Oklahoma State offensive lineman, will transfer into TCU as well. Jacob Fields will come in from Louisiana Tech. I like the Jaden Craig pickup. You've got to replace a lot of firepower offensively of guys that have entered the transfer portal. Only a couple of defensive guys are out at TCU, and a few guys have mentioned they could come back. They explored the idea of coming back. Jaden Craig, a big pickup. That was their focus as soon as Josh Hoover said he was gone, and I have it on great authority. I've talked to those around the Hoover camp that as soon as he entered the portal, and this is not rare, it's kind of frequent now for any college player, as soon as he entered the transfer portal, everyone knew, his camp knew Indiana was the landing spot. This deal was worked out before January 2nd when the portal opened. Josh Hoover was always going to be a Hoosier.
Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12, host of Westwood One Morning Show with us here in the press box on ESPN Central Texas. And let's talk a little basketball in Big 12. And, we've said over the past few years that Big 12 is the best conference in basketball right now. As competitive as it is this a conference that's going to chew each other up before we get to the tournament?
Absolutely. It happened last year. It happened the year before that. It happens every single year. It is a testament of fortitude if any team out of the Big 12 can make it out and into the Final Four based on the gauntlet you're going to play. We've talked a long time about how Gonzaga would make the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight every single year because they're just playing a warm-up schedule to keep their guys fresh and test out new things, experiment for new things, and they can afford to experiment. They're going to win every game they play in the WCC, at least they should. Whereas in the Big 12, you were watching these powerhouse teams almost drop like flies because they have played such a competitive gauntlet. It will happen again this year, but I think it will happen at a different and better level for this conference. What I mean by that is I'm looking at the way the Big 12 is lined out, and you still have teams like West Virginia I have big question marks on. I think Utah is a bad basketball team comparative to the rest of the Big 12 conference. Cincinnati is going to struggle. Kansas State is going to struggle. Oklahoma State on the road will struggle to pick up a win or two. Colorado and Arizona State, I think both of those teams will be in the bottom half of the conference. There are probably 7 or 8 teams out of the Big 12 this season. This is very rare. 7 or 8 teams that cannot compete for a Big 12 title and should not be playing with the big boys of the league. You're going to get more breaks since this Big 12 has gone from 10 teams, now 16. You will get more breaks than usual out of this schedule because you're facing a Utah, because you're facing a Colorado or Arizona State. So maybe you're a bit more rested than typical, but no doubt when Arizona squares off against Houston or BYU and Texas Tech, Kansas versus the likes of Iowa State, that's going to be tough. And hopefully it will prepare you for March and not wear you out.
Yeah, in the Big 12 for basketball, we know Arizona, Iowa State, Houston, obviously some of the big dogs in Big 12 basketball. But do you have any sneaky favorites that could come tournament time and make some noise? And does Baylor fit inside that for you?
Yeah, I think and it's not really sneaky. People know about it now. I think we're buying BYU. I'm buying BYU and the conglomerate of players they put together. Just one loss this season, went on the road, beat Jerome Tang in Kansas State by 10 points. And that K-State team just doesn't seem to have the horses in the stable to succeed this year. But as much as I'm buying BYU, if I want a dark horse, it's UCF. They just beat Kansas for the second time since the Jayhawks came into the Big 12. UCF's lone loss came at the hands of Vanderbilt, and it's a Vanderbilt team that turns out is pretty good at basketball. They're a top 15 team in the country right now, and the rest of their slate, they won on the road against Texas A&M. They beat Pitt by double digits. FAU, it's a salty FAU team, 85-80, one of the better teams in the mid-major ranks. And then they beat Kansas by 6 at home. If they can beat Kansas when KU has Darren Peterson healthy, it just shows that UCF will be a true force with Coach Dawkins at the helm of that team, a true force in the Big 12 in 2025. I think they have a leg up to beat Oklahoma State in their upcoming schedule, Cincinnati and Kansas State. They could start conference play 4-0, and I would not be shocked. And they'll need that kind of cushion considering the talent they'll play later on in the year. But take UCF as a really good team to watch out for. I believe in the Knights this year.
Drake Toll with us in the press box. Drake, what's coming up on the morning show?
A lot of NFL right now. A lot of NFL and whether or not I talked to Kevin Harlan for today's show, whether or not the Philadelphia Eagles are legit, and he's buying because of the defense. We also talked about how Seattle is maybe the most dangerous team in the country, and that, of course, I'm figuring out every way possible as the playoff plays on in college football to fix the sport. You've got to do either a different format. This 12-team format is not working the way they wanted it to with Tulane and James Madison being there. You've got to figure out how to not play Texas Tech and Oregon at noon Eastern time across the country. Imagine if they played the Bills and the Ravens in a playoff game and did it in Pasadena, California. It would make no sense. There are so many things we have to fix. Transfer portal is one of them in college football, and I'm working on that diligently every morning, Ward.
Drake Toll, Locked On Big 12 and the Westwood One Morning Show with us in the press box. Drake, appreciate the time and the insight as always. Have a great week, and we'll catch up next week.
Always fun, Ward. See you next Monday.
All right, there he goes. Drake Toll with us here in the press box on ESPN Central Texas. Stay right there. Come back, put a wrap on this one right after this.